Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Talisman. This is the Saga of the Adventurous Priest, or rather the covetous, acquisitive priest who's seeking the power of the Crown of Command. The last episode was pretty strange, primarily because the wizard was, I believe, eliminated out here in the pits of the inner region. That beastie killed him, which is why his objects have been dropped there. Solomon's crown, which added to his craft, armour, which provided him a chance to survive combat, but didn't avail him in the end, this magic ring, and a talisman, which of course is useless in the inner region. You need it to get into the inner region, but, you know, there's no point picking it up there, because you'll already have one by the time you get there. Some other good stuff that he had to drop in there includes an axe and a sword. But yeah, he was killed. But then it seems that he bought back into the game, as though life is poker. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that's meant to happen, like if that's a design choice from the developer, where people can buy back in as long as the game is still ongoing, or whether it's a bug, because the game is still in development, it's not finished yet. So I don't know what that is, but it was pretty strange. I would say, personally, I would say if a player is going to buy back into the game, they should be a different character. But also, the point of the game is to eliminate other players, so I would have thought when someone's dead, you know, you leave them out. Hopefully they don't keep buying back in if you kill them off using the command spells from the Crown of Command, because that would make the game an infinite loop, and therefore unwinnable. But anyway, this is not the saga of the Immortal Wizard, this is the saga of the Unlucky Priest. Let's roll. Number 2. Okay, so we could go to the crags, which would require us to roll a die. Let's not do that. Let's go to the Sentinel space and just draw a card. Not fight the Sentinel, whatever we do. Alright. Shrine, which is a place. So this is going to remain here. Roll 1 die to pray with the following results. I would assume that we will still gain our +1 to the roll from being a priest. So basically anything above 1 is good. And if we do get our +1, then that means we can't possibly get a bad result from this. Gain a fate, which would be useful. We've been spending fate like it's going out of fashion. Gold, a spell. We do have room to pick up another spell, so that would be nice. Not too bothered about a life. We have 4, but, you know, that's never a bad thing. Teleport to another space in the region wouldn't be a big deal, but if you recall, I did use a spell to steal an axe from the monk in the last episode, so we could use this. If we roll the teleport effect, we could use it to teleport to a woods or a forest and therein build an axe. Of course, we still don't have a talisman, so even if we get into the middle region, we won't be able to pass through into the inner region, but still, it would be nice to have a change of scenery, if nothing else. Anyway, let's roll. 2. And you may add 1 to the result by pressing the pray button. So it's not required, so we can go with either gain 1 fate or gain 1 gold. In this situation, I'd actually prefer to gain 1 fate, so let's not pray, let's just take the 2. Because we used up a lot of our fate, and I think that's advantageous, being able to re-roll. Let's end our turn. Okay, so the badass monk is up next. He's a serious problem. And he has a talisman, so now he's landed on the Portal of Power. He might actually, this shouldn't give him any problem at all, but he might actually choose to use his talisman to go through the portal into the inner region. And I think he's a more credible threat there than the wizard ever was, because with those stats, he might have a better chance against whatever creatures he'll find within. The assassin has landed on the sorcerer, so he might choose to buy a spell. Looks like he hasn't. He might not have had any money, I'm not clear. Again, I can't see that bit of the screen because of the way the window is set up. The wizard gained a life from the shrine, which is annoying, but we're up next. Let's roll. 5. Okay, So we can go to fields or we can go to plains. Either one is just draw a card. Let's go to the plains, shall we? I keep thinking that's a gibbet. You know, a hanging sort of gantry thing. But it's actually a guy standing on a rock with a scarf streaming out, I think. But he's always there. That's creepy. What's he doing? Let's draw a card. Wraith, craft 5. Well, we can, of course, since it's a spirit, use our priestly power to exorcise it, and then draw a card. A spell card, rather. Divination. Cast at the start of your turn before you move. Take one secret look at the top 5 cards on the adventure deck. That's handy, actually, because that will let you know... I mean, if your options... If you have to do it before you roll, then it's a problem. I mean, I think the idea behind the card is that you roll, and then before you commit to which space you're moving to, you can cast that and have a look at whether it's worth going to a draw card space. However, you may remember from a previous episode that when I tried to cast a before you move spell between rolling and moving, it wouldn't let me. So I think in this version of the game you have to cast it before you roll, which actually removes some of the usefulness. But nonetheless, might as well use it basically next turn just to free up that spell space again. And of course it will tell me not only what I'm going to encounter, but perhaps what other people are going to encounter as well. So you can have a good laugh at them, knowing what's going to befall them. Alright, the assassin's up. And he's just gone over there. He's going to draw a card. Poltergeist. Ooh! Oh, I remember the Poltergeist very well from playing 2nd edition on the dining room table in my mum's house. Okay, what's the wizard drawing? Oh no, it's a roll a die kind of job. Okay, I think 5 is no effect. Yeah, safe. 5 is safety. So, I think the Poltergeist is... Yeah. A Poltergeist has attached itself to you. You must take it as a follower. Its only effect is to slow your movement to 1 space per turn. You can only rid yourself of it by crossing the river. So, I think these little tributary rivers in the corners, the top left and bottom right corners, count as the river. But of course where he is, I guess there's maybe this one, chasm. I don't know if that counts. I suspect it doesn't, but maybe it does. The only guaranteed one I know of is for him to cross back into the outer region. But then moving 1 space a turn isn't always a bad thing. It depends. Sometimes if there's something you really want to pick up on a space nearby, moving 1 space a turn can be advantageous. Anyway, enough analysis, let's roll. 3. So we can move to the city or the chapel. Well, we've got 2 gold. What can we do with that in the city? We could... No, we can't do anything with the gold in the city. We'd have to go to the Enchantress and roll to see whether we have a negative or positive effect. And it's 50-50. So that's not great. I say go to the chapel and pray, see if something good happens. Oh, crap. I was going to use that spell. Oh, well. It's too late now. Anyway, so we don't have enough room to get another spell if we draw one from our prayer here. But let's just see what we get. 2. So that's ignored. Even if we add our +1 bonus, that's 3, which is still just ignored. But at least it wasn't harmful. I mean, it wasn't going to be harmful there anyway. But still, at least we didn't land on a space that gave us fight or anything like that. So the monk rolled a 1. He might attack the assassin here. I wouldn't be surprised. No, he's drawing a card. Raiders. They stole his gold and stashed it at the oasis. I think... Oh, he gained a life. Well, the assassin crossed the river back to the outer region to get rid of the poltergeist. But that leaves him in a position where he's now going to have trouble getting back into the inner region again. I mean, he still has an axe, so he can build a raft. But it's not as easy as just remaining in the middle region. I apologise if I use inner and middle interchangeably. It's an accident, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I seem to remember that when I used to play Talisman, the Raiders, which the monk drew on his last turn, that stole all his gold, I had a feeling that the Raiders stole all of your objects and put them at the oasis, as well as your gold. I seem to remember that's the way it was, and it was always a card that we dreaded because it was so harsh. But I don't know, that's obviously not the way it's working here. The other thing was, because the Oasis is a draw 2 card space, even if all of your objects were left there, you'd only be able to pick them up 2 at a time, so you had to keep landing back on the Oasis to get all your objects back. And we always felt such sympathy for anyone who drew the Raiders that we'd say, look, land on the Oasis and you can just pick up all your stuff, okay? But house rules don't apply here. Let's roll. I'm yakking a lot today, I do apologise. Hopefully you don't mind too much. Okay, what have we got over here? We've got the maze, which would have no effect on us at all. We wouldn't get lost because our craft is high enough to get through it, but we also wouldn't draw a card because there's one already there. So it would be basically just pass a turn. So let's go to these fields and draw a card instead. Siren. A siren's song can be heard throughout the region. All characters in this region, so the outer region, must miss their next turn. Are we all in the outer region? I think we might be. The monk might be in the middle region, I guess. Yeah, the monk's in the middle region, so he's the only one who gets a turn this time. I noticed that he didn't go into the inner region, which would have seemed like the logical choice, but never mind. I've remarked on the AI before, I'm not going to keep harping on it. But again, yet again, this is a work in progress, so there's plenty of room for improvement. A friend of mine is saying, "Or," you may have seen her pop up in the chat in previous episodes as well. That's my friend and landlord. Okay. So, basically, the monk just got 2 turns because he was the only person not missing a turn there. The assassin is going to the witch. He rolled a 2, which cost him a life. How does it feel to be assassinated? And worse yet, how does it feel to be assassinated by an old woman who you went to see? You went into a house and she just stabbed you or something. Take that, assassin. You're rubbish. Anyway, our turn is up, so 6. I mean, it's a good roll, but it's just taking us to draw card spaces. This one already has a lion on it. You may remember that I'm trying to accumulate enough physical enemy trophies to gain a strength point. If you kill enemies to the sum of 7 strength points, you can trade them for a strength increase. This one, if we beat it, is strength 3, so that will take us to a total of 6. But we don't have a great chance of beating it. It might make more sense to just go for a straight card draw over here. Because even if we do get that strength buff, it still only takes up to 3, which isn't brilliant. Orb of Knowledge. Which actually takes us up to 4 objects total. We won't be able to pick up any more unless we find a mule. Whenever you have to draw adventure cards, you may discard 1 card of your choice that you don't wish to encounter and draw 1 more to replace it. That's pretty good. I should remember to use that spell that will allow me to look at the first 5 cards in the deck. If for no other reason than to just stop it clogging up my hand. It is actually also a pretty useful spell. Take a swig of tea while the monk and the assassin are doing their thing. Okay, the assassin's dropped a helmet. Looks like he took a raft, or built a raft, but he had to discard something to make space for it. You lose the raft after you've used it once, but I think it does actually take up a slot in your inventory for that 1 turn that you have it. So in fact, even if we use a raft, we'll have to drop something to accommodate it, which is kind of an issue. Let's use Divination right now to take a look at the first 5 cards in the adventure card deck. These are the next 5 adventure cards. An event, Evil Darkness. That looks like the cover of Brave New World by Iron Maiden, don't you think? Good album, incidentally. My first Iron Maiden album and still my favourite. An evil darkness from the nether worlds sweeps the land. All characters except those who are evil must miss 1 turn. So the wizard and the assassin would basically get a bonus turn. So that's going to be the card that's up next. It might be advantageous for me to pick that up, because I would be able to discard it with my Orb of Awesomeness that we just got. There's a bag of gold. Those weren't 5 cards, those were 2 cards. It only showed me 2 cards. It was meant to show me 5. What the fuck? Anyway. Right, so, in any case, let's just roll. We got a 1. We're not going to draw a card this turn anyway. Let's go to the chapel. And we'll have a pray. Roll the dice. Roll the die. And it doesn't matter. Even if we use our +1 bonus, we'll still be ignored, so that's basically no effect. Please don't draw Evil Darkness. Okay, so he's just going to fight the Sentinel, and he can win pretty handily. He has such stats that the monk doesn't really have very much to fear from the Sentinel these days. Okay, and he's gone back over to the Portal of Power, so he might... Oh, crap. So someone drew Evil Darkness, which means the Assassin and the Wizard are going to get bonus turns, effectively. Magic Portal. Okay, so it looks like there's actually a market persisting in the Hidden Valley at the moment. I'll have a look in a second, see if I'm right about that, but I think that's what happened there. I think the market is sitting on that space. So that might be a handy place for us to go at some point, blow off some of our gold, but then again, we have a full inventory at the moment anyway. What we could do, though, is go to the market and buy mule. It would be nice if there was a stable space around somewhere where we could buy a mule, but no. That exists only in the Talisman City expansion, which isn't included in this game. At least not yet. I don't know what the devs' plans for DLC are. Okay, so the 2 evil characters now take their second turn. Okay. Oh, don't go to the Black Knight, that would be silly. Okay, so he's drawn an ogre. He should have no problem at all with the ogre here. God, these characters all have ridiculous stats. This is just mind-boggling. How have I maintained such low stats for this long? And the wizard goes next. So what I'm angling for, really, is step 1, land on either woods or forest so that I can build a raft to get through into the middle region. It might be worth me turning one of my objects into gold, so I have space for the raft. I'm sure the raft takes up an inventory slot. And I don't want to be in a position where I try to build a raft and then it says, but you can't pick up the raft because you have another item. I don't know. It might give me a chance to drop something else. But yeah, I think that happens. So what I'm going to do is, although I like having the shield, I'm going to use my alchemist to turn the shield into gold. Because I think I'd need 3 gold to buy mule anyway. And then my game plan is this. Try to get myself to either woods or forest so that I can use my axe to build a raft, sail into the middle region, and then try to land on the market to buy mule. That's my game plan at this point. That's as far ahead as I'm thinking. So let's roll. 4. Okay, that takes us to either the graveyard, where we lose a life, or to the woods! Yes! Okay. So we move to the woods. We can use our axe to create a raft here. We can also use our follower to evade any combat that we might draw here. Okay, there's an ape. We might be able to beat the ape. And with strength 3, it might be worth trying to kill it, to get it as a trophy to contribute towards that strength increase. So let's do it. Let's fight it, see what happens. 6. Pretty good roll. And the ape gets a 1. We beat the ape. Priest beats ape. Sounds like a band. Okay. So now we can take the ape as a trophy, which means, if we look at our trophies, we have a strength 2, a strength 1, and a strength 3, for a total of 6. Now if we just kill one more thing that has a strength of 1, that would take us to 7, and we can trade it for a buff of +1 to our own strength stat. So basically, you train and become stronger by having lots of fights. It's an interesting spin on the experience point mechanic, I guess. Alright, so next turn, we must remember to build a raft before we roll, and then just use it. Just use the raft. Hopefully we didn't need to use the axe on the previous turn. I'm still not clear on some of the ways the mechanics work in this digital version of the game. Hopefully we can use it on the next turn and then zoom over. Hopefully we didn't have to use the axe on the previous turn, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. So the monk has traded for a strength upgrade there. So he's up to 9 strength. Which is not great. The assassin's gone there, so he'll draw a card. He drew Pestilence. Everyone in the middle region will lose a life, which is basically him and the monk. Don't feel too bad about that, pair of bastards. What's the wizard doing? Okay, just a straight draw card space. And he's got some gold, which isn't too much to get stressed about. Can I use my axe? Yes, use object. And yes, the raft is an object, so that takes up an inventory slot. Yes. Continue. And then I guess on my next turn, my only option at the moment seems to be end turn. So I think, yeah, on my next turn, I should be able to use the raft to get across. Hopefully. Just don't make the mistake of rolling the die, as I did the last time I had access to a raft. And hopefully no one will do anything too drastic, like steal an item from me. If someone stole my raft, that would just piss me right off. I've worked hard for this raft, damn it! Raft building doesn't come naturally to a priest. Alright, so the assassin won a fight there. He's trading for a strength upgrade as well. So it's just me and the wizard here on the low strength end of the spectrum, and he's died and come back. You know, he has an excuse for having low strength. Okay, so let's use our raft. There it is. Use object. And finally, oh, it's such a momentous moment, our first time in the middle region. Which do we want to go to, though? Do you want to go to Runes, draw 1 card? Or do we want to go to Warlock's Cave? Roll, you may, you don't have to, you may roll 1 die to accept a quest. The quest will involve take a life from another character, kill an enemy, deliver a follower, deliver a magic object, deliver 3 gold, deliver 2 gold. When you complete the quest, the Warlock gives you a Talisman. Actually, that's a pretty interesting play. Let's do that. Okay, let's accept the quest. 5. Discard 3 gold. I like to hang on to my gold so I can buy a mule from the market, but... Let's do it. Let's do this. How do we give him our gold? Continue. Yeah, you've completed the Warlock's quest. He's given you a talisman. Okay, so we have a talisman. This means that we can now, if we land on the Portal of Power Space, we can actually enter the inner region, which would probably be a suicide mission. Looking at our stats, strength of 2, craft of 5, I think it would be absolutely suicidal to go into the inner region. But maybe we need to have a punt at it. The assassin might go in, he's on the Portal of Power at the moment. But he might choose not to. What are you doing, assassin? What are you choosing to do? He's re-rolling. Using a fate point. And he's going in! He's braving the inner region. After what happened to the wizard, that is a courageous move indeed. Okay. So the wizard has gone to see the witch, and he's gained 1 craft point from that. He can also pick up the helmet. So actually that was a pretty good move for him. We've got a 4, which means we can either go to the temple or to the Cursed Glade. Cursed Glade, draw a card. Strength and craft derived from objects and magic objects do not count. Remember, we have that orb that will allow us to discard the first adventure card if it's one we don't want. And the temple is nuts. Roll 2 dice. Of course, we can gain a +1 bonus, I think, as the priest. But a lot of these are quite negative effects. So... although gain 1 spell could be good, but... yeah. I reckon... go to the Cursed Glade and draw. Draw an adventure card. Phantom. A phantom will haunt this space until it's granted the first evil character to visit it, one of these wishes. Let's use... Can we use the orb? We should be able to use the orb. Orb of knowledge. Let me discard one of your choice. Well, it's not letting me discard one of my choice. Come on. Can I... Alright, so the orb didn't let me discard a card, which is annoying. Again, the game is a work in progress, so I guess these are things that are going to be ironed out. But the orb should have given me the option to discard that card and draw a new one. If the orb is not going to have the effect that it should have, it might be worth me just turning it into gold. Alright. So, the Hermit isn't bad. He'll give people a Talisman if they land on him, but we don't really have any use for that. Okay, the Assassin is moving around the inner region. I don't know what that space is, but clearly... Cool. Oh, it booted him out of the inner region. Only to the portal, though, so he can go back in there. But he also drew a marsh, so anyone who doesn't have strength of 5 or higher will lose a turn there. That's going to make it tricky for us to get into the inner region. It'll cost us a turn, at least. That's a tough draw for the wizard. He doesn't have much chance of beating the dragon. If any chance at all. I think at best he'd be able to draw. Will the helmet preserve him? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so now we're up again. Tell you what, since the orb is a really good item, but since it apparently doesn't have its intended effect, or maybe it's bugged or something in this version of the game, this unfinished version, I'm going to use my Alchemist to turn it into gold and thereby free up an inventory slot. Let's roll. I'm quite annoyed about that, but it is unfinished. I knew that when I started playing. What's on here? We've got Magic Portal, which will move you to some random place. A market. We could buy a mule there if we had 2 gold, but we don't. We only have 1, which is a problem. And a mercenary, who's a follower. I'm surprised no one's taken him. Pay 1 gold, and he'll add 3 to your strength in battle. But you have to pay him an additional gold whenever you want him to do that. He's a pretty good follower, but he does become expensive. And we have enough gold to take him with us, but not enough to use him. And I do want to save my gold for a mule. Plus the magic portal could move us back into the outer region again. So, and we wouldn't be able to draw any cards since there are already 3 there. What's the alternative? Chasm. Roll 1 die for yourself and for each of your followers, and then people die. You know what? Let's go to the Hidden Valley. And we'll encounter this stuff. Encounter the mercenary. I'll take the mercenary just so that other people won't be able to take him. This is the market. Don't have any gold with which to buy anything, so I'll just have to leave that. The magic portal, we have to roll. Oh no, you may pass through it. You don't have to. Well, that's pretty good actually. If you roll any of the first 3, it takes you to places in the outer region. If you roll 4, it's just another part of this region. Same with 5. 6, it'll actually transport you into the inner region regardless of whether you have a talisman. You know what, let's live dangerously. Let's do it. 2, the village. So after all the time it took us to get into the middle region, it boots us back into the outer region again. We've got a ghost. What do we have in the way of trophies? I don't think we have any... No, we don't have any spirit trophies. So killing this wouldn't enable us to gain a craft point. So let's just destroy it with our power and thereby draw a spell. What spell are we going to get? Destruction. Alright. Oh, apparently... Oh yeah, we still have to actually attend to the village as well. The only person we can go to is the Mystic. So, yeah, we're going to have to roll, basically. And we rolled a 4, which is become good. We were good anyway, so no change. The other thing I want to point out before we end our turn is we've got a destruction spell, so we can destroy any card that's sitting on a space. Some of them are quite good. There are a lot of fountains and things around that will give you bonus effects. I'm tempted to destroy the marsh so that we can go through the Portal of Power without losing a turn, but at the moment that's actually more of a problem for our rivals, so I think it makes more sense to leave it where it is for now. Healer is quite good. Who's that? Is that a follower? Fountain of Wisdom, so that's good. Also, I don't think there's anything I particularly want to cast Destruction on at the moment. That dragon, maybe. When do we have to cast Destruction? Is it the start of our turn? Or any time? The start of your turn, or when you've just completed your move. Anyway, let's end our turn. Oh, this episode's running a bit long. So when it rolls around to our next turn, we'll call it a day for this episode. But let's see what the others do first. Monk is going to go to the Sorcerer. And he has indeed purchased the spell from him. The Assassin might choose to go into the inner region. Is he? Is he going to do that? He's re-rolling. Which suggests not. Not entirely sure what happened to him there. Alright. Well, the wizard has moved around to the graveyard, where he can pray because he's evil. And he was ignored. And it comes back to our turn. The priest sitting around in the village feeling sorry for himself. Come back the next time. We'll see how the priest's saga unfolds. A few people have seemed to be getting close to the objective, but no one has really posed too much of a threat so far. We do have a talisman, but we could do with a mule. I'm slightly cross about that orb not having the effect that it should have, but again, game is a work in progress, things like this happen. That should all be ironed out for the final version. Anyway, come back the next time, see how the priest's adventure continues. Until then, thanks for watching as always. Bye for now.